So welcome to your Stepping Stones to AAC Splash into Summer. If you didn't hear or you didn't see in the chat window, let us know as we're talking here these first few minutes what adventures you might be going on this summer. My family and I just came back from the beach, so that was really fun. You're going to get to see some of that in a little bit. My name is Brittany Tony, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And so welcome to our Stepping Stones to AAC classroom. As I mentioned, my name is Brittany Tony, and I am the Bitmoji on the left with the short brown hair. I am a speech language pathologist and assistive technology consultant for Saltillo for Southwestern Ohio, Indiana, and Northern Kentucky. But that's kind of a wide territory, but I live in Cincinnati. And I will let Heather Prenevo introduce herself and explain a little bit more about the classroom.
Hello, everyone. I'm Heather Prenevo. I am the Bitmoji on the right. I am a speech language pathologist as well, and I am the assistive technology consultant for Saltillo in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So welcome to our final stepping stones of the springtime. We're so glad you guys could make it. And if you're not familiar with our Bitmoji classroom, we have this interactive classroom, and Brittany had posted the link to it through Bitly in the chat window. So if you want to go and click through there, the nice thing is all of these sessions have been recorded. You're able to click on those icons to take you to the recorded session and go check those out if you haven't been able to attend those, or you just want to have a refresher. It's also a great resource to share with your families that you work with, other teammates that you maybe haven't heard of Stepping Stones to AAC and want to check out these ideas. The other pieces that are interactive on here is the poster that Brittany is kind of pointing to. We'll take you to our low-tech boards that you're able to print from our chat corner. The Go symbol and word on the wall there will also take you to our Let's Teach Core activities on the chat corner. So dig in, play around, click on things, and after, probably by the end of this week, the recording for tonight will be up as well, so all of the icons have somewhere to go.
All right, thank you so much, guys, for posting your adventures in the chat window. Looks like we have some fun, you guys have some fun activities planned,
right?
Especially Regina. That's so exciting, getting married. Congratulations. I hope you guys have a great trip to Maui. Is it good?
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. So I like to pull up this slide just to remind everyone that AAC is truly a journey and that it takes time. We started the Stepping Stones to AAC series to really help SLPs and families and other members on the AAC team to think about ways they can use core words in everyday activities. So we hope that this gives you some ideas to help you along your AAC journey. But remember, these are just ideas and every AAC user is different. So take your time and we hope you get something out of this evening.
So the first slide here shows one of the materials or one of the handouts that you can find in the materials tab. We've referenced this as our Stepping Stones to AAC organizational tool, and we'll go through and fill this out together tonight. You can also keep a blank copy. The links to the recorded webinars will also have the handouts again, so feel free to share these, but we'll talk through these steps of choosing core words around the activity, and today we're talking about water play. And then we talk about planning out questions and comments that you can use to help model those core words. And then finally, how do we model that and grow language? How do we start with that one word and move beyond that? So we'll walk through this together and practice, and then you can take this tool to use for other activities. The second handout is the Stepping Stones to AAC reference tool. So we know if you're like us, you go to trainings and then you get back and you're like, oh, what was I supposed to do? How did I do that? So we wanted something that you could refer back to, or again, if you're sharing it with families or other coworkers, it goes through step by step and explains, what are we choosing with those core words? How do we plan out questions and comments, and walks you through each of those.
Okay, so with our water play activities this week, we're going to go to the beach. And I
Woohoo!
literally do mean go to the beach. As I said, my family just came back from the beach this past weekend, and so I took my daughter out on the beach and we did our videos there. So why did we choose water play and specifically the beach? Well, summer is a time for playing in the water. So I know here in Cincinnati, it can get really humid and hot, probably not as hot as other places in the US, but it's still pretty hot here, especially because it gets so humid. So we love to play outside in the water, whether that be a sprinkler or a water table or in the pool or, like I said, the beach. And vocabulary used during water play can be reused in other contexts. So the words that I'm going to use today can definitely be reused, and you can use other words as well that I didn't necessarily highlight today. So words like go or help or put me in the water or out of the water or in the water. So there's lots of different core words that you can use during water play. And again, whether that be in the pool or simple water table, even in the sink. So
Right.
there's lots of different ways that you can play with water and make it fun and engaging. I will just, as a note, you will want to download this low-tech board, either from our website or grab that from the handouts if you are going to play in the water with your AAC user. Um, you don't want to get your AAC device wet. So I highly recommend either using now some of the Nova Chats are splash resistant, but not waterproof.
Right.
So, but it's best to use I usually use a low tech board or some type of flip book if I'm working with a client and they like water. So that is what I'll be using on the beach today. But download this now, and in the video, just listen to hear what words I'm using. And my daughter, just a disclaimer, she is 5.5. She's typically developing, so she is verbal, but this is what we have to work with during COVID times still, and not able to video some of our clients that we typically work with. So apologize about that, but just to give you an idea of what that interaction might look like. You can follow along on your low-tech board. And let me know if you cannot hear it. She is kind of hard to hear because, but I guess hearing what I say is more important. I don't know. We're here at a day at the beach. What are we going to do today? Swim, play in the, we're gonna play in the sand. What do you hear? I hear the ocean too. What else do you hear at the beach? I hear birds. I hear you. What are we going to make in the sand? Can you show me what you're going to make? Show me what you're going to make in the sand. You can dump it out. Are you going to make something with that sand? Yeah. You're going to play in the sand and make a castle. Say thank you for helping me play in the sand. You're going to make a pretty awesome castle. Okay.
She is too darn cute.
Thank you. My husband snuck in there too.
I know. I was going to say, we have to thank you.
Sand are heavy.
You're right. Thank you,
Okay.
Dad.
Yes. Thank you for helping. Just another core word there. Okay. So what are some words that you heard me use? Let's choose. Oh, sorry. That didn't work, did it? Let's choose our 3 core words.
If you want to enter in the chat window and interact with us, what are some of the core words that you heard Brittany using that we could fill in our planner with? I heard play, make.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie.
Play. Yeah.
See.
Yeah.
I also heard hear. Yep.
Yep. Good.
Perfect.
Please. Thank you. Yeah.
As well as those pronouns, I, you.
Exactly.
Help. Oh,
Yep.
yes. How did we forget that one?
That's a great core word to use with that activity. Good job, guys. Okay. My computer's thinking. Okay, there we go. So with that, now once we've chosen our 3 core words, we want to think of some open-ended questions that we can use to encourage our AAC user to communicate. So open-ended questions are questions that cannot be answered with just a yes or no response. It helps encourage communication, and so that we aren't really trying to speak for the AAC user, but allowing them to think of something that they want to say. So we typically encourage families and caregivers and other team members to use open-ended questions. So we're going to think of some together, but first, which one of these is an open-ended question? What are you going to make, or do you like the water?
Pop quiz. Or you could type 1 or 2. I see a couple people saying, what are you going to make? Going to make?
Yep.
Left?
Great.
Yep. Yay.
Yeah. Good. So with what are you going to make, we can say a sandcastle. We could say a fish, a mermaid, I don't know, a shell something. I don't know.
Right.
Something else. You can say so many things, and it allows them to think of whatever they want. So my son, I'm sure, would not say a castle. He might say a dinosaur. So it just allows the AAC user to be more creative in what they say. If we use open-ended questions versus something like, do you like the water? They can only say, yes, they like it, or no, they don't.
And it also allows for that use of the robust systems. We can't always predict what they're going to say. I mean, Bexley could have said something completely different, even though you knew you were going to make a sandcastle, and that's okay. If she had had a device and all of a sudden decided, nope, we're making a mermaid.
Right? Yep.
We can't predict.
That would have been a funny looking mermaid, that's for sure.
Well, you know.
Okay. Let's think of our open-ended questions for the word here. I chose the word here because I feel like at the beach there's lots of sounds, and I feel like here is a word that we don't use as often as we should. Perfect.
Sorry, I had to switch to my other microphone and speakers, so.
Oh, no problem. What did you hear? Yeah. Maybe who do you hear?
Mm-hmm. Or even if we said, what's that? And they could respond with, I hear. So sometimes it doesn't have to even be in the question. It could be the response needed.
Yeah. Good. Okay. What about for the word make?
What are we going to make in the sand? Good.
Good. Oops.
If we're working on retelling, what did you make?
Perfect. What about for the word play? Who is going to make the castle? Yeah, that's great. Who? What are we going to play with? Or what are we going to play? Maybe.
Who's playing with you? Or even maybe where should we play?
Yeah.
What are you playing with? I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. You guys are on it. All right, so after we think of potential open-ended questions, it's good to then come up with possible comments in case your AAC user is not yet responding to those open-ended questions. You can then model, you can first pause, I'm getting wrong, first make sure you pause and wait, but then if after 10 seconds or so they don't respond, then you can model those comments for them in response to your question or maybe something else that you were talking about. So we're going to write down some comments that we could model. And we want to make sure that we keep them at or just above the AAC user's language level. So what I mean by that is no more than 2 to 3 words beyond how many words they're currently saying on their device. So if your AAC user is only using 1 word, you might only want to model 3 or 4 words, or maybe just 2 or 3 words. If they're saying 3 or 4 words, you might model 4 to 6 words. So it really depends, but we don't want to overwhelm, just like you would speak to a young toddler who's just learning language. We want to make sure that if our AAC user is just learning their device, we want to make sure that that language that we are saying to them kind of matches, that language that we're modeling matches their level. Okay. Oh, look, Janet's already on it. Look at you. Make castle. Love it. Okay, writing it down.
Or maybe make more. I make it.
All right, what about for here? The word here, what could we model?
Hear ocean. I hear it. Hear birds, hear seagulls, hear the waves.
Yeah.
Hear people.
Oh. Yep. You can hear lots of things outside in general.
I was going to say, using hear and see, there's just so much in any environment. It's a great word.
Exactly. Yeah. Hear water. What about play? This one's easy, I feel like.
Play more.
Play more.
Play in sand.
Yeah, play in sand.
Play in water. Play with sand, yes.
Play in water, yeah. If it gets hot, you want to play in the water.
I play with you. Nice.
With daddy, mommy, brother, whoever.
Play with me.
Play with Yep.
These are
good. Play again. I like that one. Those are good. Okay. So the third step, step 3. So after we've thought of our open-ended questions and we thought of some comments to model, we want to kind of lump it all together and review. And then we want to think of some 2 or 3 word models for our 1 word, or if you're only modeling 1 word, you would model those 3 words. But we want to kind of put it all together, and what are some phrases that we could use to model during this activity. So that's what I did, and that's what you see there. So a lot of what you guys have already said, kind of putting it all together, this is what this form might look like when we fill it out.
And I like to use this part as if you have ever experienced when you're working with AAC device and your student or your kiddo and you're like, oh, they just said this, what else could I say? Having this pre-planned and just think ahead, then you don't have to, like, on the spot think of something to say and have it meet, what you're trying to target. So it seems like a lot of work at the beginning, but the more you do this, it becomes more automatic. And so I just highly advise it to take away some of the anxiety and stress around, oh my gosh, what am I going to model on the AAC?
Yep. Okay, and then again, here's an example of what that filled out form would look like. And on our low-tech board, then, we can find these words before we do the activity so that we know where they are. Or you can find them on the AAC user's device and kind of know where they are. It's good to plan ahead, as Heather mentioned, to kind of prepare yourself for that activity. So if I'm using a low-tech board, what I might do is have a Post-it note, cut out the center, and then put it over the words that I might want to model. That helps me, and then it also helps draw attention for the AAC user as well. So that's what that is, and that's what that looks like. Okay, now we're going to watch a video of me modeling on the low-tech board, and I apologize in advance for like the Blair Witch Project style filming of this. So it's only like a minute long. I don't feel like it's too bad, but so we'll watch this and you'll see how I kind of model on the low-tech board. And I see your question, Julie, and we will answer that after we watch this video.
If you want to follow along and try modeling those words too, good practice.
Here we are, a day at the beach. What are we going to do at the beach? Are we going to play? Yeah. We're going to play at the beach. What are you going to make at the beach?
A sand castle.
A sand castle, that sounds like fun. We can also hear a lot of sounds at the beach. What do you hear at the beach?
I hear pelicans.
You hear pelicans? I hear, here it is. Oops. I hear the ocean. Listen. Okay, so what should we play with first? Should we play in the sand first or play in the water first?
Play in the water.
Play in the water? If you play in the sand, what will you make?
A sand castle.
You're going to make a sand castle? That sounds like fun.
And shell.
Can you hear shells?
No.
No. You cannot hear shells. That's silly.
Well, they are smooth and hard.
They are. All right, well, let's make a sand castle and play in the sand so we can put our shell on top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, so adorable.
Thanks. They had fun. Okay, so that's what it might look like if you were modeling on a low-tech board. You might model more or less words depending on your AAC users' skills and level where they're at. So after trying the steps, we already had a question, which is great. For those of you that haven't asked a question, what questions do you have? How did you feel? What are your next steps? So I love Julie's question. It's a question that we get a lot, or at least I do.
Yes.
I'm sure Heather does as well. So when you're introducing a device to a young student and you're using something like a word power 60 basic or even just any vocabulary file, should you expose all the words when you're introducing core words? My answer is yes.
Me too.
Now, it depends on the user. I used to work with young, well, some of them are young, some are older, but kids with autism, and some of them just did not have the attention span to have all buttons showing at the same time. And so sometimes, in some cases, I would hide a few, unhide them when I was modeling, and then hide them back. So I have done that before, but I would say show them all. And if you're worried about them knowing specifically where those icons are or when you're modeling for them, what I sometimes did, it helps me, it helps the AAC user, and it helps the team working with the client, is either use a highlighted border around some of the core words that you're working on that week, or you can also change the background color of that word, but I like using borders more.
Yeah.
I think it's less distracting. Yeah, but that's what I would do, is definitely showing all those so they can see where those other words are, and you don't want to inhibit them from being able to say something else if you're not modeling what they want to say. So say you modeled play sand, maybe they might want to say go away. I don't know. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
I agree too. And then also your same example with the low tech board, you know, if you've got it laminated and you can draw a circle around it or use those Post-it notes. When I learned that trick, that was a game changer because it really does focus them in. But the borders on the device buttons is another great one. That leads us to our question from Kayla. Having a student new to using their device, and would we suggest using low-tech options or like this core word chart first with teaching those new words, or teach it with the device?
Yeah, Kayla, that's another great question. And to that, I would say if you can, use the device. If you're talking about a student specifically, whether you should use the low-tech board with them or like they should use the low-tech board. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so if you're talking about you modeling, are you talking about modeling? Or are you talking about the kids specifically?
That's a good clarifying question.
Okay.
So them using it?
Yeah, so them using it, then I would definitely say use the device, because you want them to learn where those pathways are and those icon sequences are, because not all of the words that they're going to want to say are on that home page. So most are, but there's some, and it just allows them to explore if you have all those words unhidden. Like I worked with this little boy the other day, and he just kept going to the pizza button, even though we were playing with Mr. Potato Head, but we talked about pizza for a while because that's what he wanted to talk about. And then he went away from it and started talking about the the body parts on, everything else. But I would definitely, for you, if you can, model on the device and have the student use the device, because that is going to be the best, so they can see where those words are located. And think of your finger being the articulator versus like your tongue or your teeth or the rest of your mouth. With articulation therapy, we usually show kids how to make, the TH sound by putting your tongue between your teeth, right? Well, think of it that way, your finger being that articulator versus your tongue. So it's just
And I would agree with that. If they can start learning where it is on the device, building that motor memory for locating it, and if you're able to highlight, and that question I saw, Julie, if I'm guessing they're using a NovaChat with Word Power, I would definitely reach out to your Saltillo consultant, and if you're not certain who that is in your area, one of the interactive pieces of that classroom is clicking on one of us, and it takes you to entering your zip code, and that'll direct you to your contact from Saltillo to help you learn how to add borders to those buttons.
But thank you so much for splashing into summer with us. We hope that you have a great summer.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great summer.